Welcome to Safety Spectrum, your environmental health and safety connection. This program is a presentation of the Michigan Safety Conference. For almost a century, the annual conference has provided credible educational opportunities and valuable support to the safety and health practitioner by offering 120 instructional programs along with exhibits highlighting the latest in safety equipment, instrumentation, and demonstrations. To learn more about the conference, please find us at MICH, safetyconference.org. Welcome to Safety Spectrum. I'm your host, Sheila Ide of the Michigan Safety Conference. Our program today is 50 Years Protecting Michigan Workers. Although the need for safety and health and the prevention of accidents is universal and ongoing, a key player in that battle has been the Michigan Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or MIOSHA as we generally know it. Our speaker today will discuss how MIOSHA has impacted the workers in Michigan for the past 50 years. Our guest, Bart Pickelman, was appointed director of the Michigan Occupational Safety and Health Administration on October 5th in 2016. Bart began his MIOSHA career as a compliance officer and also served as ergonomic specialist, safety and health manager, and the MIOSHA deputy director. Mr. Pickelman is a certified industrial hygienist with over 35 years of experience in occupational safety and health in both the private and public sectors. Bart has a true passion for the MIOSHA mission of helping protect the safety and health of Michigan workers, and he is a featured speaker at the annual Michigan Safety Conference. So welcome to Safety Spectrum, Bart.
Well, thank you, Sheila. It's great to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
I think I worked for you a while back, didn't I?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
think
can't
I know
remember
you from
that.
that. Well, I
Yeah.
gotta ask the question I ask everybody. On a personal level, why did you choose the safety and health business as a career?
Well, that's an interesting question. Actually, through my schooling, high school, and so forth, I always thought that I was going to be a dentist. And I was actually accepted into U of M dental school and went down there and started writing all these checks and it made me realize that, I better be sure that I want to stick my fingers in people's mouth the rest of my life before I go into debt that far. And I made some calls, and one of my old college professors had a colleague who was in the health and safety field at a consulting firm in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And so that's where I got my start in health and safety.
Well, it kind of makes sense because you're like the mouthpiece for MIOSHA, right?
Yeah.
You ended up there anyhow.
That's funny.
Yeah, I'm allowed. I'm allowed. I'm the host, right? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it's been a busy year for MIOSHA. We're coming to the end of your 50th year of protecting the workers. Tell us about the accomplishments that you have been able to celebrate this year.
Like you said, five decades of MIOSHA protecting the health and safety of Michigan workers. It's been a great year and a great opportunity to reflect on how far we've come and celebrate those successes and partnerships that made it all possible over the years. When MIOSHA began in recording injury and illness rates in 1977, the rate was 8.8, which means, roughly 9 employees out of every 100 were getting hurt on the job every year. In 2024, that rate has dropped to, or I'm sorry, 2023, that rate has dropped to 2.6. So, that means thousands of Michigan employees have returned home safe after their shift. With 5 million current Michigan workers in the state, a 0.1 drop in that incident rate means 5,000 more workers are not injured on the job every year. So
And
that's
that's
one.
significant. That is significant because
Yes.
people only hear about the really bad things and they don't realize how much has really gotten better over the years.
Yeah, and it's hard to, when you talk about injury and illness rates, it's hard to put, what does that mean with respect to people? So, and also on the fatality front, in 1977, there were 115 workplace fatalities that
Oh,
year.
wow.
Uh, in 2024, in contrast, there were 34, which is 34, of course, too many, but it's a 70% reduction in the amount of fatalities we've seen in the state of Michigan since then. Over the decades, MIOSHA has also had some key milestones. In 1988, 86, and 88, we promulgated the Asbestos Abatement and Accreditation Acts, which were groundbreaking state legislation that set the standards for safe handling asbestos and protecting employees and the public from asbestos exposure. In 1996, a milestone was the combination of the Department of Labor and the safety folks and the Department of Public Health and the health inspectors into one MIOSHA, one department, which unified our consultation, our construction enforcement, our general industry enforcement, and of course, the safety and health disciplines. And since 2000, there's been a big expansion of our education and training and outreach programs. One of the things that's really taken off is our Take a Stand Day, which is one day of the year that all the MIOSHA field staff, whether they're consultants or the enforcement staff and their supervisors, are able to go out and act as consultants. They put their citation pads away and they go out and do their job as they would as enforcement officers. But at the end of the day, they don't issue those citations, they don't issue those penalties, and they work with the employers to fix whatever those hazards are that the employees are exposed to. So that's
So how
been
many take a stand companies have do you usually do? Is it
a
everybody in the
we
whole office goes?
yeah, well, all of the field staff and the supervisors in both the consultation and enforcement group. So that's, well over 100 folks that are out there on that given day. So that's been a great success for us. And another one that has helped is the Coffee with MIOSHA events that we do. They've been a great success. I think this year we're going to do 11 of them. In fact, the Michigan Safety Conference is one that always helps host one in December. It's a great opportunity for employers and employees around the state to come in an informal setting, have a cup of coffee, learn about what's happening with the agency, and more importantly, meet those local consultants and even the enforcement staff that they may have to deal with at some point in time. So those have been a great success for us. And another one I'll bring up is, of course, the MIOSHA Training Institute, which you have had an instrumental part in making and developing and making a success. We have certainly grown that since you left and really have a great MIOSHA Training Institute.
They've asked me to come back and do it some more. I don't understand.
Yeah,
That was a big concept though when we
it
did it.
was.
And they basically your former boss said, okay, I've made the agreement, make a school.
Yeah, make it happen.
We never made a school before, but we did. Consultants
Yes,
jumped on it and it was awesome. So
yes,
you talk about the asbestos rules. I think when I first got into safety, that's when that was all coming about. I cut my teeth, so to speak, on asbestos because I worked in the power plant. So I
oh
saw
yeah,
asbestos everywhere I went. We actually had a
yes.
boiler blow up where we had pieces of it all over. So we got to wear
Hmm.
spacesuits trying to clean it all off the control panels and all that. So yeah. So a lot of that. The consultants, I worked with the consultant side of it, so I really appreciate the passion that all of them show for what they do, and the compliance officers as well. I mean, they really care about what they do. I'm sure that Take a Stand Day is a real vacation for some of the compliance folks to be able to be, you know, the good guy for the day, even though
Yes,
you need compliance. I don't say they're bad guy. I mean, we all need to
yeah,
follow the rules, so it's
that's
only
right.
fair. So you mentioned about MIOSHA working with the private sector. How does that really work?
Well, MIOSHA's motto, which has served us very well over the years, is to educate before we regulate. And what we mean by that is before federal OSHA comes out with a new rule, or we come out with a new rule or requirement or policy that we're going to enforce, before the enforcement folks go out and start knocking on the doors unannounced, we spend a lot of time with our very robust consultation, education, and training division going out and making sure that employers and employees in the state know what those new requirements are and how to comply with them. We've also, uh, we want employers and employees to see us as a resource, a safety and health resource.
There you go.
To get us in and strengthen their safety and health programs before an accident occurs or before you get a knock on the door by that enforcement officer and which results in a potential violation or penalty. Through our consultation education and training division, we offer free confidential consultations. Again, no fines, no penalties. In fiscal year 24 alone, MIOSHA conducted almost 1,000 hazard surveys and over 1,000 individualized consultations. We also have our cooperative programs that we work with the private sector on. The cream of the crop in those is, of course, our Michigan Voluntary Protection Program employers, or MVPP employers. They are the best of the best with respect to model work sites with safety and health programs. Then our M-Sharp program is similar to PP, but is more geared towards smaller employers and developing their comprehensive safety and health programs. We also have a lot of alliances. One of those alliances was with Macomb Community College, which was what started the MIOSHA Training Institute, as you're aware. And then, of course, our partnership programs are also part of our cooperative programs. And the partnerships bring together MIOSHA contractors, labor organizations on large-scale construction projects to identify and correct hazards on a proactive basis. And the biggest advantage to partnership on construction projects is, of course, lower injury and illness rates. More construction workers at the end of the day going home unharmed.
And that's one thing I noticed that the partnerships, you actually use the folk, I hate to say the word use, but they work with other employers to say, hey, I'm working with MIOSHA, and you kind of let them do that. They kind of lay the groundwork for you to say, they are a resource and they actually work. It's kind of like pseudo consultants to say, here's what I've found. This is the resources I got from MIOSHA, and they're good people to work with. I don't think I would have made it in the safety world many, many moons ago if I hadn't been able to use the consultation activity. So I'm a big believer. Now, was
Yeah,
Michigan able to, when you have the public input like that on new standards, you get to Michiganize things a little bit or just understand it better?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's, one of the advantages to having a state plan. Federal OSHA gives each of the states in the country the option of running their own program. Michigan's, of course, I'm a little biased, but Michigan is fortunate to have their own state program. There's a lot of benefits that come from that, and one of them is that stakeholder involvement from Michiganders whenever we do need to develop a rule or a standard that is specific to Michigan. We definitely get them involved. We also get our stakeholders involved in focus groups when we develop our strategic plans every 5 years. So we really rely on Michigan employers and employees to help us guide this program.
Is that unusual to have that much private sector input in a state plan? Or you just think
Well,
Michigan's
I don't know.
better?
You'd have to ask the other state plans that. But yeah, not sure. But another thing that really helps us with the private sector is that MIOSHA Training Institute. Over the years, we've trained over 35,000 participants. We've graduated over 2,300 students and awarded over $500,000 in scholarships for those students to attend those MTI courses. And that alliance and that program has also led into other alliances with Oakland University and most recently this year with Grand Valley State University in a program we're calling MTI to Higher Education. It started in 2017 with Oakland, and basically it allows those MTI graduates with a level 2 graduate or certificate to apply to Grand Valley or Oakland, and they will receive up to 12 free credit hours towards a bachelor's degree in those universities. So that's a great program for MIOSHA.
It's like AP classes for the safety world.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
And we give the scholarships. We pay for half of the MTI course. So
And I noticed within the first year of the MTI, it was showing up in job descriptions looking for safety people. It's a good way
yes,
because so many people, even today, get anointed. You are the safety person today. And where do I start? And I think MTI is a good place
it's,
to start.
yes, absolutely. Especially for all those human resource professionals that all of a sudden have to wear the safety hat, right? This
Right,
is
right.
the Mouse Training Institute's a great place to start.
Especially in industrial. You know how to run a you know how to run a power press. Well, how are you going to know the safety? That type of thing. So, what
Yeah.
is something that might surprise us about MIOSHA?
Well, I think the scope of MIOSHA, one of the things is people may not realize that MIOSHA has a radiation safety section. We have several health physicists on staff, and they're responsible for registering and inspecting over 29,000 medical and industrial X-ray machines that we have in the state to make sure they're operating safely. Another facet of our program is we have our own state laboratory. So all of those samples that our health inspectors collect for air contaminants and chemical exposures, those are all analyzed in-house in our state laboratory, so that we're able to identify those invisible hazards out there in the workplace. Another thing, MIOSHA staff over the decades have contributed to national efforts with respect to health and safety. We sent a contingency to Ground Zero for the cleanup after 9/11. We also had another group that responded to Hurricane Katrina in 2005. And in 2010, we had our disaster response team help with the Kalamazoo River oil spill that occurred.
Yeah, I do
So,
remember that.
these are just some examples of how, MIOSHA over the years, our technical expertise has gone well beyond just the state of Michigan, and shows we're a part of a larger, broader network of safety professionals keeping workers safe throughout the
I think
country.
years ago when the health department was separate, I was doing ear sampling and taking it to the state lab to have it analyzed, borrowing your equipment and going to the state lab to have the samples run. So it was very helpful because we're talking the 70s. We're the infancy of what we
Yes.
can do, so.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That is one service that MIOSHA does offer to employers is if you do need to do your own air sampling, you don't want to use the services of our free consultation group, you can ask for the equipment and the sampling supplies, and we will do the analysis also. It's called our self-help program. You can get more information on that on our website.
See, again, something that people probably don't know.
Right.
So you've been working with MIOSHA for more than 25 years. What are the biggest changes you've seen?
Yeah, I guess one of the biggest changes has probably been the role of technology in both the workplaces that we go into. Technology is changing daily, and also, how our own operations happen. Technology is helped us. I remember when I was an inspector in the field, um, I had a calling card for long distance telephone calls, right? You had to find a public payphone,
What is
punch
that?
in a 16-digit, calling card number to make a phone call to the Lansing office, right? And, now of course we've got cell phones and all kinds of things. And, enforcement officers, we used to fill out carbon copy forms and rip off a copy for the employer, right? Now everything's done electronically and with cell phones. So that's probably one of the biggest changes is the use of technology.
Well, this just occurred to me, not catch you by surprise, but how do you think attitudes have changed from the employer, with MIOSHA?
Oh, I think that's been the biggest positive move, I think, Sheila, has been the cultural shift in health and safety. Employers really, and not all, but, when we first started 50 years ago, nobody wanted MIOSHA, to come in. We were the cops, right? The safety cops. And many employers today see safety and health as a core value. It's not just a compliance issue anymore. They understand that safety does pay. There's value to safety. It increases your productivity, your morale, and helps with your worker retention, in addition to, the obvious, keeping people safe.
Yeah. I mean, that's the moral issue, and nobody wants to have anybody hurt, injured, or killed. But, I always talk to our consultants about you have to be able to talk the dollars and cents too.
Yes.
You have to be able to explain to them why this would save them to do it this way. It's not about lagging, as they say, lagging indicators of how many accidents did I have. That's not the point. You want to get ahead of the curve. You want to get ahead of it and say, here's how this will save you in the long run. And like you said, morale, that is a big piece. somebody's not going to work for a company that they feel does not care about their safety, that they just go out there and ask Joe how to do something. That's not a good way to live. I also heard recently that health and safety professionals are going to be one of the upcoming jobs. It's
Oh,
surprising for the first, I've never seen that before, but they said it's going to be more important. Insurance, of course, it pushes it as well. They don't want to be paying claims out. So, well, what's in store for the next 50 years then?
well, we're going to build on that great foundation we already have, and focus on our mission of protecting the safety and health of Michigan workers for the next 50 years and beyond. We're going to continue to expand opportunities to have credible, customized, and responsive consultation, education, and training, as well as our firm, fair, and targeted enforcement when necessary. And one of the big things that's changed over the years and we'll continue to focus on is workplace mental health, because we know workplace mental health does affect workplace safety and health, and that whole total worker well-being will remain a top priority for MIOSHA, especially in the construction industry and other high-stress industries. And then, of course, we'll look at strengthening our alliances and our partnerships with colleges, industry groups, labor organizations to develop the next generation of safety and health leaders.
Yeah, your boss, Sean Egan, that's your boss,
That
right?
is,
Yeah, he's
yes,
been very vocal about, the suicide rates and mental health
yes,
and construction, and he's out there pounding the pavement on that all the time. So he's really got me
absolutely.
convinced.
He's
Yeah.
done an excellent job on that. Yes.
So any new standards coming down the pike that we should be surprised or not surprised?
Um, from a MIOSHA standpoint, we are working on our construction Part 25 concrete operations. It's not really a whole lot of new things from a construction site aspect. It's moving a lot of the requirements that were in the steel erection standard and moving them into the concrete standard because of the way, construction projects work. The concrete comes before the steel. So we're making those changes. That was a request by the iron workers. So we formed an advisory committee for that, and we're working through the process of making some changes there. And then from the federal level, I think you're still going to see some emphasis on that heat standard coming out from a national perspective.
What's the talk about violence in the workplace? I'm sure it's still covered
Workplace
under general
violence.
duty, but place violence, is there any activity going on that? I'm not sure how you would do it even.
That is on federal OSHA's regulatory agenda, is to come up with a workplace violence standard specific to healthcare and social services workers, where they're seeing a lot of that workplace violence happen.
Yeah, hospitals and things like that. I know they have started to put a lot of programs together just to protect the nurses. The problem is, they're caring individuals, and they're used to treating people, that everybody it does. I don't know if you're mentally or what have you, but they're used to the comfort, and they had to learn that they have to back off. I had a couple of speakers last year from U of M Hospital speak at the safety conference, and they had mentioned how the nurses had to learn to back off and not be their usual compassionate self. So it was quite a change. But it's unfortunate that we're having these kind of problems. So why
Yes.
do you think talking about MIOSHA is important?
Well, workplace safety and health is very important because it's all about protecting people, right? Our brothers and sisters, our sons and daughters, our parents, our friends, our neighbors. It's not just about, policies and rules. So it's
How do we remove some of that mystique about MIOSHA? Just get out there and
get out there and talk about it. And that's what our, connecting MIOSHA to industry initiative has really helped us do. Again, demystify the enforcement in MIOSHA, inform the general public and others about all of the consultative and education services that we have available, and overall to use us as that health and safety resource to help protect your employees.
I love your line, educate before you regulate.
That motto
Give
is,
them a few
is real
shots,
good.
what the heck?
That is right.
So, any final thoughts as we're closing it up?
Well, I just want to thank you again for the opportunity. And I'll leave, the with more information about MIOSHA. Visit our website at michigan.gov/MIOSHA and sign up for our newsletters. That's a great
A
way
lot of
to stay
information
connected.
on your a lot of information on your website too. Good resource. So,
Absolutely.
hey, our mission with the Michigan Safety Conference is to enhance workplace health and safety by sharing EHS best practices, provide education, and create a community of experts to help eliminate workplace injuries and fatalities. And as we've heard today, a lot has been accomplished, but the bottom line continues to be bringing everyone home safely at the end of the day. MIOSHA offers many resources to protect workers and assist employers in that mission. I'd like to thank Bart Pickelman, Director of MIOSHA, and they can be reached, as he just said, at michigan.gov/MIOSHA. If you have any questions about this podcast, would like to learn more about the Michigan Safety Conference or sign up for the 2026 conference, or if you'd like to be a guest or sponsor one of our podcasts, information can be found on our website at michsafetyconference.org. Thank you for listening to Safety Spectrum. This is Sheila I.